Welcome back to Seahawk Central. This week's coverage includes more on the presidential election, a proposed tuition and fee increase for next year, a fun new musical coming to UNCW, and sports galore. As you can see, we are missing the one and only Davis Bell, who's currently busy getting coverage on UNCW men's first ever basketball game this season. I'll jump into things with election coverage from a different angle. By the time this episode airs, the election will be over, but the continuation of political coverage perseveres. This past Sunday, November 3rd, I held a Zoom interview with two seniors studying political science at George Washington University in Washington, D.C., just 1 mile from the White House. Adriana Labasso and Grace Brenner are registered Democrats and firmly believe in a bipartisan political scene. When asked why they cast their vote for former VP Kamala Harris, both said they saw good fortune in her support for small businesses, women's reproductive rights, and the promise to appoint a Republican to her cabinet if elected, a fact publicly stated by Harris in August. Both voting in their first presidential election, Labasso and Brenner shared what Washington looks like so close to Election Day, describing it as a mix of anticipation, stress, and hopefulness. Labasso says, in quote, "It's a very liberal city, and I think that people are hopeful Kamala is going to win, but we just want the election to be over with." In terms of young voter turnout, Labasso and Brenner give credit to mass media. Labasso saying, "I think it's almost a positive peer pressure. If you see all your friends voting and everyone's posting about it, it makes you not only more informed as a voter, but you're more likely to vote yourself," she says. Although quite far from the city of Wilmington, it seemed so fitting in relation to the capital. Now stay tuned for UNCW's student voter turnout and who they think will win this statistically close election. Until then, I'll hand things over to Emily with a report on our proposed tuition and fee increase for next year.
Thanks, Emma. UNCW is considering a tuition and fee increase for the 2025-2026 academic year as part of the campus-initiated tuition increase, a budgeting process guided by the UNC system. A chancellor-appointed committee of administrators, faculty, staff, and undergraduate students oversees the proposal, focusing heavily on student input gathered through forums and surveys. The proposed increases would generate nearly $3.94 million, funding new academic programs, staffing for the Disability Resource and University Learning Centers, library resources, and salary adjustments. For students, this means an annual tuition increase of 6% for out-of-state undergraduates and all graduate students. Proposed fee increases include a 2.7% fee increase for campus recreation, a new $150 fee for marine science courses, which would be used to support fieldwork, and a differential tuition increase for Doctor of Nursing practice students to cover clinical cost. SGA held 2 open forums last week regarding these proposals, in addition to a survey that was emailed to all students. That survey remains open until Monday, November 11th, so be sure to share your feedback, Seahawks. Now, over to Kenzie with good news for basketball fans.
Thanks, Emily. That's right. It's finally time to pack Trask as UNCW basketball is back. Seahawk fans will have 19 opportunities to catch the men's team in action right here in Wilmington, while the women's team is slated to have 15 home games. Schedules and updates can be found online through the UNCW website. And if you can't attend in person, don't worry, as UNCW Athletics recently announced a partnership with Fox TV to air 7 men's home games, an exciting move towards increased television coverage of the team. But as always, be sure to catch our friends at Seahawk Central Sports to stay up to date with the team this year. I'll hand things over to Anna with updates on a fun new musical.
Thanks, Kenzie. UNCW's Music and Theater Department are collaborating for the first time in 14 years to bring the musical comedy Head Over Heels to the stage. Professor of Costume Mark D. Sorensen is making his directorial debut alongside co-director and choreographer Nancy Podrasky Carson. This hilarious love story will be held at the Main Stage Theater in the Cultural Arts Building later this month, beginning on Thursday, November 14th, with showings through Sunday, November 17th. The show will continue a week later on November 21st through the 24th. Shows will be held at 7:30 p.m. Thursday through Saturday with a Sunday show at 2 p.m. Tickets are $6 for UNCW students, alumni, and employees. You can purchase tickets in person an hour before the show starts, or you can buy them ahead of time by calling 910-962-3500 or online at uncwarts.universitytickets.com. Now back to Emma.
Thanks, Anna. I certainly plan to be there on opening night. Circling things back to the election, I recently polled a group of 100 UNCW students on when and if they voted. Findings showed just over 70% of them voted early, about 20% voted on election day, and just 5% chose not to vote at all. A second poll shows that one of those 100 participants, 63% think VP Kamala Harris will win, and the remaining 37% think former President Donald Trump will. We'll find out soon enough once all votes are counted. Now let's shift to sports, where Dylan will kick things off with a not-so-lengthy cross-country recap.
Thanks for the pun, Emma. The UNCW men and women's cross-country teams laced up their shoes one last time for the CAA championship in Elon, North Carolina. UNCW brought along its members, including 13 women's teams and 11 men's squads. The team finished 10th out of 11th in the 8K race, while the women's team finished 12th out of 13th. UNCW junior Carly McCusker clocked a sub-24-minute 6K to place 67th among nearly 120 runners. For the men, sophomore Nicholas Potter was the top runner with a sub-28-minute 8K to finish 65th. Congrats to the men and women's teams this year. We are looking forward to see what both of you have in store for next season. Let's send it over to Grace with their tennis recap.
Thanks, Dylan. The women's tennis team had an awesome week. This past week, the women's tennis team hosted the Seahawk Ocean Classic on November 1st, and the girls dominated for a 7-3 win in doubles play. To close out this tournament, the girls played in our in-state rivals UNCG for a weekend win Sunday, November 3rd, with a final score of 5-2. Let's wish them good luck this weekend as they head to the Coastal Carolina Fall Tournament. Now, let's head over to volleyball.
Thanks, Grace. The UNCW women's volleyball team went up to Campbell University to face the Fighting Camels. The Seahawk team put a valiant effort, but ultimately ended up losing 3-1 to the Fighting Camels. Emma Chappell had 9 kills and 1 block, and the Seahawks had a total of 37 kills and 23 errors during their matchup with the Camels. UNCW played the Camels again on Saturday and was able to get the win, beating Campbell 3-0, splitting the series. Asaya Magazine had 12 kills and 4 blocks. The victory was UNCW's 5th sweep of the season. Next Saturday, the Seahawks will take on the Charleston Cougars, so stay tuned. Now, back over to Emma.
Thank you, Ishmael. That's a wrap for this week's news and sports on Seahawk Central. As always, if you have any newsworthy stories you'd like us to cover, email our team at uncwseahawkcentralnews@gmail.com. Thanks for tuning in to yet another Seahawk Central. I'm Emma Tillman.